This morning, I have the utmost pleasure of speaking with Barbara Kingsley. She is one of the stars of the upcoming horror film from Dark Star Pictures, Honeydew. Thank you for being with me this morning. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good.
It's it's a uncomfortable feeling that I had the entire time I watched that film, not knowing what to expect from the next scene in going forward, and you had a huge part in that. Let's start with. Can you tell us a little bit about the film?
Like, oh, like what? I mean, the storyline, the
Yes, let's talk a little bit about the
oh,
storyline.
um, well, I don't want to give too much away, but I think it's been said before, it's kind of like a Hansel and Gretel story without the candy. Two children stumble upon a situation and they are um, aided and abetted and by a friendly farmer and her son. Um, and things get strange for them. Not for
Yeah,
parents.
yeah, definitely very, very strange. So let's talk about your character, Karen. Very, very good job with that role, I must say. Can you tell us a little bit about her and when you were approached with this character, did you get any additional like backstory for who she was?
Yeah. I first met Karen on paper before the audition, and I was recommended to Devereaux by a friend of his mother who had worked with me in Minneapolis. I had not, my husband and I hadn't been in New York that long. Um, and Deborah was looking for a very specific type of person for Karen. Um, and I guess at least to a degree, I fit that bill. Eccentric choices, whatever. And he wrote a matriarch. He wrote a mother, a deeply religious human being who's connected to the land, to the earth. And when things go awry on the farm for their family, she puts her faith in God and her own entrepreneurial spirit and carries forward. And when Deborah and I met, he showed me a really short video clip, I mean like 20 seconds, of his grandmother. And I fell in love with her whimsy and her relationship and this love that just sort of emanates off of her. And we sailed from there. Did I even answer your question?
Yeah, it's a good answer still.
Okay.
Not a problem. So I noticed that throughout the film you have very, very specific movements, or there's times you raise your voice, even the way you walk. How did you prepare for a role like that?
Well, I've been doing stage work for 46 years. And you cobble from what you've got. I knew that she needed some kind of problem with one of her legs, her feet, or something, because of the history with the family. And I don't want to, spoiler alert. So I knew a limp was important. I knew I had to develop the limp such that I could do the length of the shoot and not injure myself. Devereaux had written in Christmas carols. She loves Christmas. And so almost every scene, I don't know if you could actually hear it in the final movie, Karen is sort of humming Christmas carols under her breath. She, loves Christmas carols. I had a great grandmother that I sort of grew up with. Her name was Grandma James, my great Grandma James. And she had a truck garden and she was a farmer and she was that deeply attached. So those were the physical things, you know, and then it's just a matter of, replicating them. where does she feel her fatigue? All the questions that actors ask themselves. You know,
Okay.
they give you a big old sweater and you go, interesting. Okay. Why does she wear this huge sweater and how does she feel in it? You know, just those things.
That's very interesting. The Honeydew really relies on kind of the camera angles, a lot of sound, and then also the lighting. Is it how is that done while you're filming so that you can be in that same mood? Because I think some of those things are added post, and to get a different to get that same feel.
Yeah, you know, I'm much less involved in even tracking or thinking about those things when I do film or TV on stage, because I mean, I'm intimately half audience member, half dramaturg, half actor, you know, half director's eye. But in this particular place, I was more about keeping in character. And I do know that sometimes I go, well, yeah, it's kind of dark in here. Okay. The biggest challenge I ever have as an actor is when cables on the floor and I don't want to look at the floor, and yet you've got a woman with a limp. So it's like your body has to start memorizing things. When we were shooting the food portions of it, there was bubbling grease. And so I had to be very aware of not slipping in grease on the kitchen floor. And then, you know, you work in as to whether Karen just automatically makes those adjustments because she's always cooking steak. But I was very surprised. You know, I never heard any of the music, and I didn't look at any of the shots ever. I didn't want to see them.
Oh, okay.
I didn't need to.
So
You know,
how was it for you to see the finished product?
a little weird. My mother, oh my God, my 87-year-old mother was able to go to Peoria, Illinois, to the one theater that ran it for a couple of days. And I said to my brother, you took mom? He said, yeah. I said, well, what did she think? And he said, well, we're both a little concerned about you. I said, okay. And so I talked to her about a day later and she said, well, you looked real good blown up all big. I said, okay. But
So
it was,
no, go ahead. Yeah, so that was real food you guys were cooking on set?
oh yeah. You know the scene where Sam, where Sawyer Spielberg is eating the corn on the cob,
Yes.
and I'm slathering butter on it. We must have done, I don't know, uh, 20, 30 takes, because it was a very difficult coordination with the table, the food, my son at the other end of the table. And he ate every single piece of that corn. It was like, Sawyer, I don't even know how you do that. And it was just absolutely dripping in butter. And he just looked up with his smile as he said, I like food. I was like, oh, it was
Speaking,
all real.
so speaking of Sawyer Spielberg, we know that this is his feature debut. How do you feel he did on set? And did you kind of help him along the way with any advice?
Boy, you know, that is not any of my domain or purview. Well, first of all, when I'm on a film, it's none of my business. I don't care how old I am. I guess if I were a big star, I might have opinions about something and talk to a director, but that to me, that's a director's job. Sawyer is just he's a delightful, delightful human being. And he's a delightful actor. As far as I was concerned, we all come in at the same place. I mean, that's just the way I operate. I don't make assumptions about people, but I was so grateful that all of the people on the team and all of the people in the film were amazing human beings. And to me, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. you know. My husband and I spent 35 years in Minneapolis. If I'd wanted to be a star, I probably wouldn't have made my career there. But I raised a family, had a fabulous career on stage. And then for some reason, we decided to come to New York and see what film and TV was about. So when I go in, it's like, I have nothing to offer them except maybe, you tired today? Would you like a cup of tea? That's the mom.
That's very sweet of you. So I had an interesting thought while watching the film because Riley's character is quick to tell Karen about the diets and their restrictions and not doing this, and this, and Sam's kind of, not into it. We see him later struggling in the bathroom with I think it's a ho-ho that's been just crumpled up, and then later we see him just indulging in all your great food that's on the table. Do you think maybe he's able to control his urges, his wants of food if he's able to moderate himself instead of just cutting himself off entirely?
The character of Karen, I'm trying to put this in the
Sam's character, Sam, I'm sorry. Yes.
yeah. Karen doesn't care. She wants him to indulge. I think that's a Sawyer question. But in terms of Karen meeting Riley, Sam, clearly he's like got a golden aura as far as she is concerned. And all of the things that Riley brings up, and it's pretty clear to a mom that this is a bit of a controlling girlfriend, but she's not a real impediment. She's not going to be a problem. But yeah, that's a good question for Sawyer. How much was it just tonight that goes out of control, or how much is their relationship of Riley and Sam near the end as the movie starts, or is that just the way they're going to navigate through their lives? But Karen doesn't care.
That's actually the answer I'm looking for, so I appreciate it. So overall, what do you hope audiences take away from Honeydew?
One of the things, I guess, is that in the genre of horror films, this is more like a psychological thriller.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the fact that an audience member, it's not just blood and guts, that this deep, our fears, where our fears come from. And there is also just a little bit of, save the planet. Save the planet. There's that whole thing about the grain and the wheat having gone bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think?
I honestly think well, if you're asking me, it definitely is a psychological thriller more, where it's not about the jump scares or the guts. It's about just the uncomfortableness of the pacing of the film and where you end up because of some of the decisions that they make. And for me, that's what I enjoyed about it.
Yeah, decisions have consequences, don't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Barbara, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you turning this interview on me to ask me a question that usually does not happen. So it's a lot. That's a fun aspect of our conversation.
Well, I appreciate it so much, and I know I'm just a talky, blathering person, and you're really generous to let me meander and wander.
No, I'd prefer to have conversations and just Q&A questions. It just makes for a better conversation rather than an interview.
Thank you.
But again, I enjoyed your performance as Karen. It was very, very well done. And for all of those who want to check out the movie, it's going to be on demand and digital April 13th. Karen, I hope you have a fine rest of your day, and also enjoy your Easter.
Thank you, and the same to you.
All right, take care.
Bye.